After 69 thrilling years of Formula 1 action, 33 drivers, world champion, and over 500,000 kilometres race, we are all set for a big landmark in Formula 1, which is going to happen this weekend. F1 1000s, the 1000th Grand Prix by Formula 1. You know, it's been a big road, but we are finally here. And obviously, what an event to host it at. The Chinese Grand Prix, the Shanghai International Circuit, obviously will play host to F1 1000. It's absolutely incredible. Obviously a great circuit and a very, very big landmark. So obviously welcome to the GP preview show for China, round 3 in the 2019 season, or more importantly, as I've just said, GP 1000. It's really, really exciting. And also, obviously, part of our series of a countdown to, obviously, race 1000 by the F1 debate. Obviously, it's going to be a really, really great race. So obviously the Chinese Grand Prix is run around the Shanghai International Circuit. The circuit is 5.4 kilometres in length, obviously really great. 2 main straight, and of course including the 1.5 kilometre back straight, obviously with a big DRS zone. We've seen loads of overtakes and obviously loads of high speed action down there. With 56 laps, a certain length of just over 300 kilometres is the distance between St James Park and Anfield Stadium in the UK, and it's obviously a thrilling race. We've had over 15 years of big action here. Obviously one of my favourite races at the Chinese Grand Prix was Red Bull's inaugural win with Sebastian Vettel in that Red Bull in 2009. 10 years actually to this weekend, so obviously it's a big landmark for Red Bull, their very first win. Obviously taking the win to show that they were a serious constructor only after a few years of obviously being founded. Also another big race obviously was Lewis Hamilton in 2011 with that McLaren obviously really struggling just to get it out at the start of the race. And then obviously Nico Rosberg and Mercedes' maiden win obviously in the modern Formula Day era in 2012, obviously in that Mercedes car with him and Michael Schumacher at the helm. Obviously, it also has kicked up some big weather changes, including obviously when it rains. I remember in 2017, obviously with Daniel Ricciardo taking the win, managing those tricky situations. And obviously, I remember in 2007, Kimi Räikkönen and obviously brand new boy Lewis Hamilton at McLaren, obviously battling for the race victory in the very treacherous conditions in Shanghai. So obviously, it's played some really great races, and obviously we hope that it'll be a good race on Sunday. As I say, obviously kicking off F1 1000. Obviously for the weekend, obviously there is going to be some big showing obviously from ex-drivers and ex-racers obviously from the years of Formula 1, including obviously some big championship winning cars. Obviously a lot of Michael Schumacher's cars will be there, and Senna's, obviously loads of the old Lotus cars, McLaren, Renault, you have it, and obviously there is planned a big track parade on the Sunday. There is a rumour obviously that Mick Schumacher will be taking out some Michael Schumacher's old obviously cars, a bit like what he did in Belgium 2017, obviously when he took out his championship winning Benetton. And yes, it'll just be an absolutely amazing spectacle, big landmark, and obviously we will always remember that. At the current rate, Formula 1 is actually accelerating. The 2000 Grand Prix will be in 50 years' time in 2069. So obviously make sure that you appreciate this weekend, obviously for all it is at. But nevertheless, so obviously, even though it's a big hyped up weekend, it's still a Formula 1 weekend. It's just like any other weekend. It's very much like Bahrain, and obviously it will be very much like Azerbaijan in 2 weeks' time. So obviously all the drivers will be thinking of is obviously what they normally do, visors down, and obviously get on for the 56 laps. Obviously again we will be talking about, what will be the podium, and obviously who will finish where in the big race. Obviously I'm going to start off with my predictions, and in third place I'm going to be going for Sebastian Vettel. Now, Bahrain was a very, very interesting race by him. He had a great start. He jumps Charles Leclerc at the start of the event. We were all obviously batting for Charles Leclerc, that was a definite given. So Sebastian Vettel was definitely making a big push, but obviously around halfway through the race, he's battling Lewis Hamilton, and then obviously he came off words and he spun the car around. Now, I remember there was a lot of talking about that, what had actually happened. He didn't actually collide with Lewis Hamilton, but he managed to spin the car around. People were calling it pressure, people were calling it a bit problems with the car, but if it was pressure, he is a 4-time world champion, and he shouldn't be, buckling, and he shouldn't be having those problems under pressure. I feel like it's not harsh to say anymore that Sebastian Vettel, shouldn't be making these little mistakes. I said Jordan, and I said in the review show, it's very similar to when he span in Austin 2018. Obviously he span before that in Suzuka, but he had a collision with Max. So he span in Italy, but he had a collision with Hamilton, but he span in the US Grand Prix by himself, basically. He caught the curb and he span himself. And, to be another driver, to be like, someone who's coming through the ranks, or, someone who is just, a normal driver in Formula 1, for example, Pierre Gasly, no offence. But if he spins, it's like, we can kind of get away with that. But Sebastian Vettel is the 4-time world champion. He's been in Formula 1 for 11 years now. As I say, obviously he won 10 years, his first win in his second win with Formula 1, his first win with Red Bull was 10 years ago today. His first win in Formula 1 was actually over 10 years ago. And, he shouldn't be making those mistakes. So I feel like, Bahrain was a bad race for him. He really needs to think about, his actions and that. Not being as reckless in the car, and just kind of, I don't really know how to improve it, but just don't spin again. Sebastian Vettel, obviously, yesterday, bad, not a great race from him. Obviously, not a great race for Ferrari, but obviously that was Charles, and unfortunately that was really, really unfortunate. But what I was going to say about Sebastian Vettel is, even though we're at round 3. I feel like, and obviously, like Lewis Hamilton, for example, last year, do you remember in the Chinese Grand Prix, he didn't actually make it into Q3. He had electrical problems and he lined up on the grid, I think the 10th place or something. He didn't make it into Q3, as the same was obviously Bahrain 2018. He had a bad start of the season, but he went on to win the World Championship. And Sebastian Vettel could obviously do the same. He is behind, obviously, the two Mercedes at the moment in the World Championship. But I feel like Sebastian Vettel, even at this early stage, is if he doesn't, because he hasn't podiumed yet, if he doesn't start, improving in the car, he is going to kiss goodbye to this World Championship very, very early. Even as early as, round 7, round 8, round 9, we could see Sebastian Vettel kind of say, well, I think the World Championship is a little bit sliding from my grasp. And obviously it isn't the win, even though obviously, of course, that'll be what he's pushing for. But I feel like Sebastian Vettel definitely needs to get on the podium this weekend. Obviously for the GP1000, but I'm not going to mention that again. But for himself and Ferrari, he needs to get a podium. In second place, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton. Now, obviously, Lewis Hamilton had a great race also in Bahrain. Him taking the victory, was good. Obviously, it was over Charles Leclerc, which was bad from him. Obviously, it was bad from Ferrari as well. No one could be at fault. It was just a problem with the car. It was really unfortunate for him, but obviously, great weekend by Charles nonetheless. Great by Lewis Hamilton as well. Pushing in qualifying really hard. Obviously, in the race, obviously second place behind Charles at that point. Great to get the race win, and again, it just excels Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. So he boosts him to second in the Drivers. Lewis Hamilton definitely pushing for a 6th World Championship as well. I do feel like he'll be good, very strong contender for that. And again, I feel like he will definitely get a podium here. As I say, he's won before here. Obviously, he's won with McLaren before as well. And he will just be very strong to get on that podium. Not much can be said about Lewis Hamilton. Just I think that if he does what he did again, like he did in Bahrain, I feel like he'll be on for a very, very good race. And of course, in first place, I'm going to go for Max Verstappen. Now, the first time I've actually said Max is in contention for the race win, and it's actually quite amazing. While I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, Max. I'm actually mentioning Max for the race win. I haven't said that before. Obviously, I've said the other guys, Ferrari and Mercedes, but obviously I am a Red Bull fan. I am a Max fan. It's 10 years since Red Bull took their first win, so obviously, again, it's a big weekend for them. But I feel like Max Verstappen can definitely get it. He did an amazing race in Australia as well. He did a good race in Bahrain. Obviously, he could have got third as well. The safety car, did hinder him, but again, that just is how it is. I don't really like how the keyboard warriors jump on he should have got third, and like the safety car ruined his race. I'm like, it is what it is, really. Again, he shouldn't have even really been on the podium because of what happened to Charles, but it's like a good race from him nonetheless. Again, obviously, he is kind of in his own little world. Remember Pierre Gasly, he is not there anymore. A lot of times he gets knocked out in Q2. Obviously, Max makes it into Q3, challenging, and then obviously in the race, Max is obviously always at the top, 4th, 5th place. Normally a podium, obviously, very much like Australia, obviously podium there. When Pierre was 11th place, out of the points, he was even beaten by an ex-driver of Red Bull, obviously Danny Kvyat. We know how he was treated. So while Max is at the front, Pierre is in the midfield, and it's not a great kind of partnership. They're not really supporting each other like Lewis and Valtteri. They're always at the top together. Sebastian and Charles, they're always at the top together. Max and Pierre aren't as of yet. Now, I don't want to get to Pierre anymore because obviously we have been talking about him for quite a bit. He has got time to settle into the car, but to be honest, we have said, obviously, with Danny Kvyat, we know how he was treated with Red Bull, so, how long are we going to give him? I'm not saying he's going to get kicked down, we're not saying that at all, but it's like, people are going to keep saying that, we should give him time in the car, but, remember, it is a third race, and he is with, obviously, one of the most successful, and obviously one of the most, kind of fastly turnaround teams in Formula 1. Obviously, it's just been over 10 years, they've already won 4, and, they're going for, amazing height. I even said in the video the other day on the countdown that Red Bull were less than 10 years old when they won 4 in a row in obviously drivers with Seb and obviously constructors. And actually they call that the triple double. So obviously Max Verstappen, great race in Australia, great race in Bahrain, getting that car to really suit himself. He is a great driver, put him in anything, of course he's obviously going to do a really good job, but he's really doing very well in that McLaren, sorry about that, in that Red Bull. Obviously working with the Honda unit. The Honda unit that obviously people were very skeptical about, obviously because we've seen it, in other teams like McLaren, obviously, Toro Rosso did better in it, but still, it wasn't. I don't know. I think Red Bull Renault wanted to stay, but Renault were really letting them down. They didn't really want to go to Honda, but now that they're there, they are making improvements. And obviously, Max is kind of just showing everyone, especially Red Bull, and especially the guys at Honda, who obviously were probably having doubts about how they would do and support the top team of Red Bull, that it can be done. So obviously Max is doing a really good job in that car. Again, he's a good driver, but again, that car is really, really good. I would say it's as good as the Renault power unit of a few years ago. Obviously, good on reliability at the moment, touch wood, but obviously that could be one thing that might let them down in the future. But in terms of speed and obviously how it does around the two circuits that we've already been at, it's been really, really good. Obviously, Shanghai they've done really well here. They've only had 2 wins here, obviously with Danny Rick last year, and obviously, as I've just said, Sebastian Vettel in 2009. But I do feel like Red Bull will have a good race here. Just quickly, on a side note, Pierre Gasly, I'm hoping that he will get a top 10 here. I'm hoping that he'll get into Q3. Now, obviously, it's very important qualifying. It isn't as important as the race, but if he doesn't get into Q3, when Max obviously has gone into Q3, obviously these 2 races in a row, I do feel like Pierre Gasly, really needs to sit back and look at himself, and I feel like Red Bull need to talk to him about this if he doesn't get into Q3, because obviously it is a very massive thing. That if he's not doing it, he needs to get there. He needs to support the team, and he needs to support Max. And again, like I was saying in that other video, these drivers, they need to work together and support the team. And if one guy's getting all the points and one guy isn't, because at the moment I don't know how many points Pierre has, but I can guess it's in the single digits. When obviously Max Verstappen has most of the points for Red Bull at the time, obviously a 4th place in Bahrain and a 3rd place in Australia. But nevertheless, obviously, as I say, Max Verstappen will be the winner of the Chinese Grand Prix. Red Bull should have a good race. I'm hoping Pierre gets, I'll say, Q3. I'm hoping he gets a top 10 finish, maybe somewhere like 8th place, just to show that he is doing progression. But obviously, the high-speed circuit of Shanghai has really suited Red Bull in the past, obviously. But this is the first time that they are coming to Shanghai with Honda. Obviously, before that, they've been with Renault. So obviously, it's going to be a very big challenge for them. But obviously, watch them. As I've just said, 10 years since they took their maiden win in F1. So obviously, it's going to be a great race for them. So obviously, that is my podium. Sebastian, Lewis and Max Verstappen. 4th place, obviously I'll just probably quickly list off like the top 10 kind of notable mentions. I'm hoping Charles Leclerc will have a very strong race as well, obviously supporting the Ferraris in 3rd and 4th position. I feel like constructor wise they can definitely bring the fight to Mercedes. Obviously Charles Leclerc, as I say, just missing out on the win. Really unfortunate about where he did the car, but obviously he did get on the podium. He also did get a point for the fastest lap as well, so obviously I believe that's 16 points. Obviously 15's for 3rd, and the extra point makes it 16. So obviously he's keeping pushing, and it's, well, just on a side note of the extra point, me and Jordan have both said that this extra point is massive. It's only 1 point, but it's actually really, really big, and obviously all the drivers want to get it. It's kind of amazing, that they, 25 points are up there, 18 points are up there, 15 points are up there, and obviously they want that, of course, but if they can't get it, they'll settle for the 12, but then they'll also push for the extra point. It's really incredible. So obviously, as I say, Charles has that extra point. Valtteri Bottas is amazing because obviously he has had 2 podiums, swap position with Lewis, 1st in Australia, 2nd in Bahrain, and also he has the extra point from from Australia, obviously, so he has 26 points, and obviously then 18 from Australia, so obviously he beats Lewis Hamilton by 1 point, so it shows that this point is just everyone really wants it, so maybe he can do it again, but we'll have to see. Obviously brand new cert for Charles Leclerc. Daniel Ricciardo, I'm hoping that he will have a good race as well. He was doing well in Bahrain, obviously before he did collide with his teammate. He had an engine failure which obviously ultimately put him out of the race, obviously where everything just went dead on the car. Both Renaults retired on the same lap, in the same corner. Yes, I guess you all had a chuckle about that, with me and Jordan did, I know for sure. But obviously there was a few little battles between the Renaults, and obviously again going into turn one, they did collide. I think it was Hulkenberg came on the radio and said he turned in, and obviously it looked like a racing incident, but yes, they just got a little bit tangled up together. It just shows, though, in a positive way, but obviously both drivers still want it. Hulkenberg is definitely there. He out-qualified Danny Rick in Australia. Obviously Danny's home race, he wouldn't have been very happy about that. And again, them doing big battles in Bahrain, so it should be good from the two Renaults as well. Maybe both them in the top 10, I'm hoping. As I've just said there, Pierre Gasly, I'm hoping that he will get a top 10 finish. He really needs to do better in that car. I'm very much hoping for a Q3 appearance. I don't want to see something like that happening again. For a lot of years, it's been obviously both Red Bulls in the top 10. When one goes out of Q2, all heads turn to why. It's really, really incredible. And as again, I've just said in the other video, Red Bull are the third place team. Unfortunately, that's the label that they've had for a good few years. They're probably never going to share that, in any time soon, obviously with Mercedes and Ferrari's progression. And again, it never happens really that much to Ferrari and McLaren, Mercedes, sorry. So when it happens to a Red Bull, obviously heads do definitely turn. So obviously that is what I'm hoping for Pierre Gasly. The Racing Points, I'm thinking that they will have a good, strong race. I'm hoping that Sergio Perez can really pull that for that Racing Point through. It was a good race in Bahrain from him. Obviously, he was a real driver to watch out for. I'm hoping that he does well, obviously, also alongside Lance Stroll. But the big driver that we are all looking at the moment is Lando Norris. Points finish in Bahrain was incredible from him. Obviously, he's finished both races, obviously ahead of Carlos Sainz. Reliability can't obviously be juggled around and gambled with. It's just obviously you get in the car and just see if you finish the race or not. Obviously, Lando doing the better out of the two McLaren drivers, but we are all looking at him. British driver, obviously young gun, big talent. He is going to be one of the best guys to look at. Obviously, he's the second most successful Brit on the grid at the moment, obviously behind Lewis. One of the more successful rookies as well to watch out for. I'm hoping that he will do a big race in China. I'm hoping for the end of the season that we do see Lando, creeping into kind of the Charles Leclerc Russia situation, where it's, 6th place, 5th place, and you never know, even a podium. On the F1 game, I'm driving for McLaren, I got a podium the other day, so it's actually not impossible for that McLaren to actually creep onto the podium. But obviously we'll have to see. But really, really strong from him. Let's see what they can do. Haas, I feel like Romain Grosjean, he is doing good progression in that in the Haas car. Obviously, really bad race from them in Australia, but I feel like they can definitely push. He has done well in China before, obviously with Lotus Renault. Haas have some kind of connection with China, so it's a little bit of a home race I was reading. So I'm hoping that they can do a good race. Williams, less said about them the better. And so obviously that's some of the honourable mentions I'm going to say about this race, but it's going to be an incredible race. It's hyped up to the max, F1 1000, but for sure for the teams it's just obviously going to be just a normal race. Obviously you'll get the head down and just drive the 56 laps, and then obviously on to Azerbaijan, which is round 4, and just through the rest of the season. So obviously that is my top 3, obviously Sebastian, Lewis and Max, and obviously let's see what Jordan says.
So here we are, the 1000th Grand Prix at China. I mean, very, very special occasion for Formula One. Very, very honoured to be, a part of this, if you like, or not like officially a part of it, but witnessing it, and watching the race. Probably watching some of the classic cars go around the circuit as well. Maybe getting a glimpse of some of the old drivers, of yesteryear. And very, very excited for the Grand Prix. Obviously, putting the 1000th Grand Prix to one side, I'm very, very excited for this particular Grand Prix. One of my favourite races, actually, to be honest. I do love the Chinese Grand Prix. Very, very memorable as well. Probably one of my earliest or one of my best memories of Formula One was seeing Nico Rosberg take the checkered flag back in 2012, and that was kind of like my understanding of of Rosberg. He got my recognition, and then obviously Mercedes as well. Obviously their first win. Since come back into Formula One. And almost what started obviously the Mercedes that we know today. And obviously Red Bull taking their first win back in 2009 as well. And obviously the drama of last year, Daniel Ricciardo's stunning drive to obviously to win the Grand Prix. Then Max Verstappen's race, I think he went from 17th to 3rd back in 2017. A race that I still haven't watched to this day. So obviously very, very good. I didn't see that. But that was the days gone past. This is a brand new race. Obviously round 3 of the 2019 Formula 1 season. I mean, round 3. Wow. We're going over pretty fast, to be honest with you. There's time is absolutely flying in terms of Formula 1. So obviously my predictions I'm going to give out this for this race. And I'm going to go from 3rd to 1st. In 3rd place, I'm actually going with Sebastian Vettel. Now, yes, I know from what we seen back in Bahrain. He spun again, and obviously everyone came, oh, Vettel this, Vettel that, and obviously it was disappointing to see from what we were witnessing an absolute amazing battle between two of Formula One's heavyweight drivers, if you like. 9 championships between them now. Sorry, I do apologise. 9 championships between Hamilton with 5, Vettel with 4, and it was just really, really good to see those two battling for position. It was absolutely edge. It was on the knife point. Really, it was like 1 minute was Hamilton, and it was Vettel, and it was really, really good. And then Vettel had to go ruin it, didn't he? And obviously he apologised, made the mistake, and for me it's like, right, okay, you've done it again, disappointing, but next race is a brand new race, and you may not do another mistake like this for the rest of the season. I know a few people might disagree with that, but you never know in Formula One. And I think Ferrari are going to have a strong race this weekend as well, and obviously giving a glimpse of where I might put his teammate Charles Leclerc. But I thought obviously the tracks are quite similar in terms of length. I think the Shanghai Grand Prix, the Chinese Grand Prix is just a tad longer than Bahrain. So obviously, long corners, long straights. For those cars and for those teams who are rely on power, this is the perfect track for them. And Ferrari have got a very, very quick car, as we did see in Bahrain as well. Obviously, locking out the front row of Leclerc, getting his first pole position. Will he get pole position this weekend? I wouldn't rule it out. I definitely wouldn't rule it out. But I wouldn't rule out Sebastian Vettel coming back off a very disappointing weekend, and snatching pole position off his teammate, and of course the 2 Mercedes. So yes, I'm expecting a good weekend from Ferrari. Hopefully more reliable than the last time. Obviously, don't do that to us again. Still, I've just recovered off that, but obviously, oh well, that was that race. We need to focus on this race. So obviously, Vettel's stats coming into this race, and he's only won the Chinese Grand Prix only once back in 2009, and that's when Red Bull took their first ever win in Formula One. And obviously, hasn't been anything good really since then. Obviously, I'm putting Vettel nowhere near the front, to be honest with you. I can't say I'm doing anything spectacular this weekend. I think a podium is the best it can actually hope for. Despite me saying that, all right, I know that Ferrari have got a quick car, but at the same time, as we did see from Vettel, getting a bit under pressure. If he was to battle for the lead with Hamilton, he might spin again, he might not, the car might let him down, you never know, to be honest with you. So obviously Vettel doesn't really fare around this track, so I'm not really going to tip him for the win. I think third place will be reasonable for him. And yes, that's where I think Vettel will end up. In second place, I'm going with his teammate Charles Leclerc. Now, Leclerc, he could be heading into this race as a race winner for the first time. It didn't. That wasn't the case. Third place is what he got. And to be fair, seeing him on the podium as well. I mean, to be fair, it was better than seeing him not on the podium. And a lot of Formula 1 fans, I'll probably say about 90% of F1 fans were crying themselves to sleep, heading obviously at the night time after the race. When he's all went to bed, or even when he's woke up early doors, I'm pretty sure you usually been crying throughout the course of the day, and of course up until you went to sleep. Yes, obviously gutted for Charles Leclerc not to win the Grand Prix. Will he win this time? No, well, obviously not, because I'll have to put him in second, but he might have a good shout. Like I said, I don't know how the race is going to pan out. I don't know how the cars are going to be. This is just purely off, pre-practice, if you like. I don't know how, as like I said, I don't know how the cars could fare. The Ferraris might be abysmal for all we know. The Ferraris could be, just as quick as what they were in Bahrain. As like I said, they are similar tracks, but obviously there is one driver for me that just runs away with it. Charles Leclerc finished 19th, obviously last season with Ferrari. Albeit with Sauber, albeit in last place. I think Brendan Hartley retired in that Grand Prix. I can't say he finished 19th in this race. I can see him scoring some points, definitely. That's if the car doesn't let him down. He has got the same engine or power unit as he did in Bahrain. Ferrari have said that they have solved the issue. So obviously Leclerc will probably keep will be having his lucky pants, his lucky socks, lucky trousers, crossing his fingers, having all 4-leaf cloth all around him throughout the course of the race, to make sure that the car doesn't break down again. And obviously, you're probably going to you probably have gathered who my race winner is, and that is of course 5-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. Now, Lewis Hamilton's record at the Chinese Grand Prix is unbelievable: 5 wins, 6 poles, 8 podiums, and 4 fastest laps. Lewis Hamilton absolutely loves it here, and those stats are all track records. I think the only track record he doesn't have is the track lap record, the fastest ever time around the track, as far as I'm aware anyway. And obviously, yes, I think Hamilton's going to absolutely dominate, dominate this race. We haven't really seen much of Hamilton's dominance yet, but I think if there is a time where it will happen, it will be this weekend. I can see Hamilton taking the top step of the podium. So Mercedes are very, very impressive around here as well. They've actually won all but 1 races at China since 2014. So obviously 14 they won, 15 they won, 16 they won, 17 they won, 18 they didn't win last year. Obviously that was taken by Daniel Ricciardo, an absolutely stunning drive. I can't see really Red Bull taking, Red Bull repeating that feat. Obviously, due to the power and everything like that. But you never know in Formula One. Every race is obviously every race we're coming in brand new, fresh minded, fresh faced, and obviously Honda might have found some more horsepower between the time. So yes, and as well as that, Lewis Hamilton actually needs just only 15 laps to be in the lead for 4,000 Grand Prix laps. So or leading for 4,000 Grand Prix laps. So obviously again, very, very impressive stat. And obviously, he will be quite some margin away from Michael Schumacher. I can't say him beating that record. Schumacher's on 5,111. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton is on 3,985. Give him 15, he'll be on 4,000 laps led in Formula 1. So that is my top 3. Obviously, let us know your top 3 in the comment section below as well. And I'm just going to quickly mention about one, kind of like, ones to watch if you like. And that's going to be Toro Rosso. Now, Toro Rosso's performance, alright, it's been okay. Albon, he has impressed, as has Daniel Kvyat. 3 points taken from 2 races, and they're currently sitting in 8th place in the Constructors. And the reason why I'm talking about Toro Rosso is because it is their 250th Grand Prix this weekend. Everyone's been so busy concentrating on the 1000th Grand Prix that everyone has forgot about little old Toro Rosso. They are celebrating their 250th Grand Prix this weekend, which means that they've competed in 25% of all F1 races, since 1950, on the 13th of May 1950. So, congratulations to Toro Rosso as well. Obviously, a very, very good achievement. Albon and Daniel Kvyat, will they do well? I hope so, to be honest. Toro Rosso are a team that I don't really talk about much, but I do like it when they do deliver their own, do good results as well. I do like, I say I like Albon. I did predict him last, but I didn't think he'd be doing this well, to be honest. Daniel Kvyat as well, and obviously he's on the resurgence. It's like we said a couple of episodes ago. Check out that episode as well. That was a very, very good episode from us as well, and obviously you guys seem to like it as well. So I can, give Toro Rosso a quick mention as well. Obviously their 250th Grand Prix. Hopefully they'll have a good result as well to continue their rise throughout Formula 1 as well. Obviously, Williams probably stay at the back as well. McLaren, very, very good result from the last race as well. Lando Norris scoring some decent amount of points. I think he's finished in P6. And hopefully Lando Norris can score some more points as well. Hopefully Carlos Sainz can as well, because he has 2 retirements from 2 races, despite a very, very good start from Carlos Sainz. Actually, come think about it, I think Lando Norris finished in P5, P6 to P5, to be honest with you. I can't really remember at this time. But anyways, guys, this is where I'll wrap up my predictions as well. Obviously, hopefully you do agree as well. And yes, I'm going to hand the reins back over to Lyle.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely some incredible predictions by you, John. Obviously, I know that he's very much excited for obviously the 1000 Grand Prix. We are as well. We hope that you've watched our countdown. Obviously, there should be a link somewhere on the screen here, just to guide you to the countdown videos that we've been making. Obviously, we've mentioned the top 10 teams, drivers, Grand Prix. You've got one more coming out as well, obviously in the interim between this and the F1 debate show on Saturday, and obviously then the big review on Sunday. It's going to be a really, really exciting race. We've really been excited for this. Formula 1 is very much back. It's round 3. It's insane. We are right in the thick of it, but it is going to be an absolutely incredible race. Red Bull, as I say, 10 years, they're going to be a really good team to watch out for. Everyone's behind Ferrari at the moment. Started out well in Australia, but really on the back foot. A terrible race from them in Bahrain. Seb is more of an angry, bad race. We're angry, can't believe he did that. Charles is more of a I'm really upset about what you've gone through kind of race in Bahrain. Mercedes obviously will be on cloud 9, and Red Bull, definitely clawing back, and Max is definitely out there to win it kind of on his own at the moment. So obviously that is the end of the GT Preview Show. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see around here, obviously please like and subscribe. Obviously leave us a comment letting us know your top 3, and obviously indeed if you want to go for your top 10 as well. Obviously let us know if you agree with my predictions, John's predictions, and obviously just what do you feel about this race. Also, are you excited for the Grand Prix GP 1000? What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to make it more spicy, or is it just obviously going to be just a normal Grand Prix weekend? So obviously thank you very much for watching. Obviously on the countdown to 1000, we'll see you in the F1 debate show on Saturday. Obviously until next time, guys, we'll see you later.